And finally, we have Ask the Green Nurse. Just like Dear Abby, remember growing up with that? I'm dating myself. But, Sherri became the Green Nurse when she said, if I can figure this out, you can call me the Green Nurse. And she is. So Ask the Green Nurse is now syndicated. We're on the Canigma, she's writing on Substack, and all of our work is there. And I'm really proud to bring this live in our media. So with that, that is the end of the formal. So let's talk about your questions and answers on cannabis.
So now we're going to do Ask the Green Nurse Live, meaning that this time is for you. You can go around, share your story, ask any questions, and we're here to answer them.
Until they kick us out.
Yeah. Yes.
Nurse, congratulations to you both. It's very clear and obvious you have a passion for what you do.
Yep.
My name is Michael, Vice President with Mission Valley Bank, Cannabis Division.
Nice.
Who would have ever thought?
Yeah.
25 years within the financial institution, Roman. Very similar to what your mother and my parents said. If you're ever involved, we will cut you out, and here is her son now engaging in cannabis. You mentioned earlier drug muggers.
Drug muggers, yes.
What I caught was to view or study the type of medication and then research how that medication is deactivating. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah,
more about
so nutrition is key in supporting and nourishing the endocannabinoid system. So I'm going to give an example, a very basic one. Statin drugs. How many people are on statins for cholesterol? Okay, are you taking coenzyme Q10?
Yes.
Good. You've got a good cardiologist. Because statin drugs deplete the body of coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is an essential cofactor for cardiac function. So if you're putting patients on statin drugs to lower cholesterol, you need to support that they're not going to be having enough coenzyme Q10 in their body. That's just one example. A lot of the antidepressants and anti-anxiety agents can deplete the body of B vitamins. B vitamins actually bathe the central nervous system. So I want to just also let you know that we do in our network have the Drug Muggers PDF. There is a book that exists on Amazon called Drug Muggers. And so I actually have the PDF version, and when we're working with clinicians and teaching them, we say, if you're prescribing these pharmaceuticals that are having these drug nutrient depletion, the drug nutrient depletion negatively impacts the endocannabinoid system. And again, this is the system that's balancing and regulating everything. 3 parts to the system. Enzymes that create the endocannabinoids and break them down, right? And then we have the endocannabinoids themselves. And then we have the receptors that are on all of the cell surfaces of all of our organ systems. So when we're not eating appropriately or we're not getting the nutrients that we need, then that impacts the endocannabinoid system in one of those 3 ways.
Because the endocannabinoids are made from healthy fatty acids. So if we're eating, avocados and good leafy greens and fish, that's all very helpful, right? To help you, yogurts, nuts, echinacea, there's
turmeric,
chia, a lot of other things like that. Hemp seeds, we buy hemp seeds at Trader Joe's and sprinkle them into kefir, and that gives you extra protein as well. Hemp is so good for us. In fact, hemp was so useful, it was part of the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, and that's how cannabis got prohibited. People were using hemp for biofuels and paper and all kinds of things. And then, of course,
fiber.
Cannabis was being prescribed by doctors at the turn of the century. The big pharmaceutical companies were making extracts, selling them in pharmacies, and doctors were prescribing them, and it was very useful. But when the pharmaceutical companies and DuPont was coming, and they wanted to have everybody buy their products. And so they basically demonized cannabis, and it was old xenophobia as well, racism. The black and browns people were using it with inhalation, and the prohibitionists, the proper old ladies, didn't like that. And so that was Harry Anslinger. Anybody heard of him? He was our first federal narcotics officer and decided to really go medieval on this plant and got rid of it. And that was insane. So in 1941, it came out of the pharmacopoeia. And the doctors were protesting back then. Now the American Medical Association have forgotten how useful cannabis is, but we're bringing it back.
Yeah, and the woman that introduced me to cannabis as medicine when I was sick and suffering on the other side of the bed was actually a 70-year-old nurse. She came to my home. She was a nursing professor at a college. She came with a basket of cannabis goodies that she had made. She was growing in her backyard. I never knew this. She was my energy healing client. So I'm a Reiki master. I do reconnective healing, and she was one of my clients, and I was really sick. And she brought, cannabis joints, roll-ons, salves, edibles, gummies, all kinds of stuff, flowers. And I said to her, how could this possibly work for me when nothing else has worked? And she said, Sherri, get with the program. Cannabis has been around for thousands of years. And she goes, I want to disclose something to you. I'm 70 years old, and I've been using cannabis every single day since the age of 17. And I'm not on any pharmaceuticals, and I've never been hospitalized. I had to look at that. I was on 18 pharmaceuticals, and I was sick, suffering, and dying. Yeah. Right? So this worked, came into my life and completely expanded my consciousness, opened in, and that's where I bring that hope and inspiration for growth and healing to so many different patients. Yes. Is because they deserve to feel good.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Do you prescribe RSO or experience with RSO? What can you tell me about it?
Absolutely.
So we like to call it full extract cannabis oil. So RSO is the initials for Rick Simpson oil. And Rick Simpson was a man that had cancer that developed this oil using specific techniques of extracting high dose THC from the plants. And you get this nice thick tarry oil. Very, very effective in killing cancer cells. Very, very high dose. Some dispensaries are calling it RSO. A lot of them have changed it to FECO, which is full extract cannabis oil. And so there's different ways of extracting it, but it's high THC oil, and generally very, very beneficial when we're working with cancer patients. I'm sure a lot of people will Google and they'll hear of the Rick Simpson protocol, et cetera. That's worked for a lot of patients, but in our experience, we've cared for over 6,000 patients in the past 10 years. I'm also an oncology nurse, so I've done a lot of work with oncology patients. They don't need that much. So what we do is, we do introduce it, but generally put them on a nice CBD regimen first, and then fold in a little bit of RSO, the Rick Simpson oil, or the full extract cannabis oil at bedtime. And depending upon their goals, you might titrate it up, to start targeting killing cancer cells. But a lot of patients can use it. I love using it for sleep, and I have had an autoimmune condition, and so when I have autoimmune flares, I like to take that at bedtime. It really helps me to downshift the pain response, downshift the anxiety response, and help me to get a good night's sleep.
And most of the RSO is THC, but you can also get it in a 1-to-1 CBD THC, which is easier to use. And you can also get CBD FECO. It's more rare and hard to find.
But a lot of caregivers, there's a caregiver market carries it.
Yeah, and when it comes to dosing, people are like, take a gram a day. You don't ever need a gram a day. When we look at the cannabis clinicians, and we work with people in Israel who are literally in the cradle of studying this, especially for cancer. And think about 5 milligrams per kilogram. So if you're 150 pounds, that's about 68 kilograms, and you times that by 5, it's going to give you about 350 milligrams, right? And if you got 1,000 milligrams in a syringe, that's about a third of it. So, and then you would break that up in several doses during the day, right? And you start it near bedtime so that the high comes on and you sleep through it. And that's ideally, right? And then you add a dose at supper time, and then you add a dose at lunchtime, and then you can add a dose at breakfast. And so as you're growing tolerance, the other thing is that THC builds a tolerance. So anybody that takes edibles all the time, that 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, all of a sudden you're not feeling it, and pretty soon you're looking for that 50 or 100 milligrams. And so what happens is you get that tolerance. So somebody that's battling cancer, it's good as they're developing their tolerance because they can take higher milligrams.
And that's what we teach patients how to do. We teach patients how to build up their tolerance safely so they can function using these different oils.
And then you need to be tracking on the traditional medical side, right? So what are the scans showing? What are the labs showing? Is the CEA numbers going down? the cancer markers, right? The biomarkers. Are the scans shrinking tumors? Because that's what we want to look at. And we also want to make sure that it's as whole plant as you get, so that it's not just THC in an isolate. You want all of the other plethora of cannabinoids in there. CBC, CBG, CBD, etc. That's how the body's going to heal, because, and when you look at that full extract cannabis oil goes into the body, what is it doing? It's triggering apoptosis. It's helping those cancer cells die. All of our cells have a start date and an end date, and that end date in a cancer cell mutates and it shuts off. It just goes away and it stays alive. And so apoptosis is cell death. And we want to reprogram it, and cannabinoids can do that. They're also anti-proliferative. It'll stop it from spreading. It'll stop it from growing. It'll stop it from metastasizing. And then angiogenesis, all of our cells need blood supply to be nourished. Cannabis can put those cancer cells under siege so they can't get any nutrients. And that's the 4 ways that cannabis can kill cancer cells. And it's really exciting to see it work. We've had several stage 4 cancer patients who are alive and yes, absolutely. Not all of them. Some people, they come too late and they're too sick.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I'll tell you, the first cancer patient that I took care of, I was blown away. This was in 2017. She came to me. I did a lecture at a hospice, and I was lecturing doctors, nurses, and social workers, and I got a call that this patient's family, was on hospice, and they bought all this cannabis. So I went to her house and met with her, and she was in a wheelchair, unable to eat. They gave her 2 weeks to live. She had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Chemotherapy failed her, radiation failed her, and she was on her way out the door on a lot of different pharmaceuticals. And so her family bought all this cannabis. Her family wanted one thing, and I spoke to her, and she wanted just to have a good death. So basically, we weren't looking to cure her. We were looking to have her be able to get a good night's sleep, manage her pain, do legacy work with her family. Well, she was doing full extract cannabis oil, CBD, in the daytime, and a little bit of full extract cannabis oil in the evening at bedtime. Just that little amount, she went into complete remission. So this was 6 months later. So I kept reaching out to the family, and they're like, Marta's still here. She's doing good. Marta's not dead yet. I'm like, okay, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. Marta calls me up and says, from her oncology's office, she goes, Sherri, they can't find the cancer anymore. Yeah. And I said, she goes, I'm going to need you to help me get off of these pharmaceuticals. And so that's what we did. We went on a journey from death and dying to alive and thriving. And the interesting thing with Marta's story is Marta's husband developed prostate cancer. She put him on the exact same thing, and he too is in remission. And since then, they have traveled to Italy together. They've spent time with family, and they're living their best lives.
Yeah, that's good oil.
My question to you is, after they took it, did they stop or did they?
No, they continued.
You want to have maintenance the rest of your life.
She stayed on that same protocol for a year.
Yep.
Because she was so afraid, and so then I said, well, now, you don't need as much. Let's just see what else is going on. And so now she does do just a little bit of THC at night, but it's mostly hemp-derived CBD. Looking at immunity soft gels, looking at full spectrum soft gels, Trilogy, one of our other tinctures, and then she just has a 1-to-1 oil at bedtime as needed. But for a while, she stayed on the full gamut, and then over time, she started to wean down and transition over to gentler products.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I'm John Patrick with Desert Hot Springs Inn. We've talked before.
Oh, cool.
We started becoming cannabis friendly in 2017.
Nice.
And I want to congratulate you on your presentation because, we were the first to go cannabis friendly. So when the guests would come in, like, oh, where are you from? How'd you hear about us? Why are you coming here? What's the deal? And it was mostly baby boomers who were using cannabis for medical conditions. Whether it be cancer, whether it be Tay-Sachs disease, and it really avoids the wasting syndrome.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the number one thing that they talk about.
Yes.
And also it helps with the chemotherapy.
Yep.
Yes.
And so I've asked, over 10 years, I've asked every question. And, it's all self-experimented.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was no information. And then we started doing CBD oil massages. I couldn't buy CBD at the time. So I had to hire a scientist to put together the CBD oil in order to do CBD oil massages.
Nice.
And that really kicked off. I mean, as soon as we started advertising that, and even to this day, we're doing CBD
Nice.
oil massages.
Yeah.
It's a mineral water hotel. I think you've been out to my hotel.
Yeah, we had. We
Yeah.
were gonna. We checked it out for.
Yeah.
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 And the interesting thing I want to let you know too. So massage. So just imagine you're putting CBD on your body. Research has substantiated that when you have a massage, you increase your anandamide levels by 168%. So 168%, you're producing your own anandamide that mimics THC. Then you have the CBD on top of it, and if you take oral CBD can help your own anandamide molecules circulate longer in your body.
We do really well with the CBD oil massages. That was something we kind of pioneered.
Cool.
And it's just, I mean, people are coming to stay just to get the massages.
Yeah.
It's
As
awesome.
a matter of fact, we're next on the agenda.
Yeah. I know. There's a lot of people that are going straight over there for the hot springs. Yeah.
I need cards, I have some cards.
Yeah, cool.
And we have the mineral water out there, so it's a really healing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you can, dip in the mineral water and enjoy the relaxation and the soft skin that you get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then get a CBD oil massage.
Massage. It's
and
wonderful.
hang out by the fire pit.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, the hotel's the smartest thing they ever could have done.
And I
Yes.
bet you that somebody's going to be passing a little bit of a joint around too.
Well, we allow that.
I know.
That's
We
amazing.
allow that.
Yeah.
Will you be passing the
We
joint around?
could have your sample packs in your hotel.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that today, guys. So go out and enjoy it.
Tell them. Yeah. Have
all go
fun,
for
we'll
a
travel.
soak.
Yeah. Any
Well-
other questions?
I
Okay.
understand sublingual bypasses your liver. Is that true, or is that the fastest way to?
Well, yeah, think about the receptors that are right there underneath the tongue and in the whole mouth, right? Your mouth is like a sponge. It's called the oral mucosa. So when you take a tincture, you swish it around, you're painting the surface area of your mouth, and then hold it for like a minute or two. Sometimes I'll leave something in there for like 3 minutes and not swallow. And it's going right into the mouth membranes and right into the bloodstream. Kind of like with inhalations, right into the bloodstream. So but when you swallow, of course, it does. The balance of it goes through the digestion. But you get the best of both that way.
And also the tincture. So if you ever had an alcohol tincture
Yeah,
versus
that
an oil
matters.
tincture, so there's a big difference. The alcohol tincture is more bioavailable
Yep.
sublingually
But
than the
it
oil
burns.
tincture is, but it burns.
They don't make alcohol tinctures
They don't make
very
alcohol.
often.
A lot of people make them homemade.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will extract, will take their flour and extract it in grain alcohol and be able to get all the cannabinoids, and then they'll make a tincture that way.
Mm-hmm.
As the MPC oils.
Yeah. So it's a
MCT
very
is
thick
is
molecule. So
popular.
you think of the oil as very thick, whereas the alcohol is very thin, and it has to get into the stream, hit the receptors, and then get into the bloodstream.
But the reason they use MCT for all of the tinctures, for the most part, we use some hemp seed oil as well. You want a good fat that's a carrier oil because that helps activate it into the bloodstream. When you have cannabis oil with a meal, it's about 5 times more potent because it's having some food to metabolize with. And healthy fats make it much more bioavailable.
Yeah, whenever she makes a fatty meal, she knows that what I've had, because all of a sudden she's like,
You're high.
"You're high."
Because it's
like,
kicking
"Yep."
it all in. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming and spending your Saturday with us.